Who are we going to get? We complain about Vince. Now we complain about Triple H. Who else? AJ Styles, the general manager of SmackDown, and Nick back to NWA. First Call's not a fan of Nick Aldis, and neither am I. All right, so here we go with the countdown.
So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong. It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with 𝙃𝙍𝙍𝙍𝙍.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is 𝙃𝙍𝙍𝙍, and each and every Tuesday I come to you, that hashtag NWA fam, to talk all things pro wrestling. But on the second hour at 2 o'clock or 5 p.m., we're talking about the NWA, and I hope you will join us to talk some NWA. Sound off on the chat if you're here. Let me know that you're watching, because right now it looks like there's a big goose egg. But yeah, this has been another telling week for pro wrestling for the NWA. Hey, Stardust. Haven't seen you in a while, Stardust. How you been? Hey, Mia. Undertaker really pissed me off last night. Why didn't he come out to Roland and said, yeah, Venom. I said the same thing. I was like, wait, why Kid Rock? Wait, what are we doing coming out to Kid Rock? Oh, yeah, man. Stardust, stay safe out there. Yeah, no snow out here. Sunshine. It was like 80 degrees yesterday. I had to put the air conditioning on. But yeah, so now we're talking about the NWA. Sean Mega's still in chat. Stardust, my buddies over at Gotham Wrestling out in New York had to postpone their show because there's so much snow and inclement weather that they just said, no, we can't do it. So for those who had tickets to the West Nyack Levity Live for Gotham Wrestling, had to postpone. Yeah, Mia, I mean, I wouldn't mind Undertaker getting one more match, and I think it's going to happen. I honestly, next year WrestleMania, if everything, Undertaker health-wise is good, Saudi Arabia wants the superstars. They want the WrestleMania. They want it. I wouldn't be surprised if they got it. Willie Bowen in the chat. What is up, good sir? How are you today, Mr. Willie Bowen? We're about to talk about some NWA wrestling. But I hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. Your boy Jay got to go to the gym this morning. I've had a pretty fun week, man. I mean, last Tuesday I was at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV tapings. Had a great time there. Got to introduce Soto to some of the talent, Bad Dude Tito and Che Cabrera, and good friend of the show, Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie. Got to hang out with Mike Wexler. Slavisto says, oh my God, Kevin Owens, you son of a Slavisto. I'm not Kevin Owens. I'm 𝙃𝙍𝙍𝙍. I'm not Kevin Owens. I'm 𝙃𝙍𝙍𝙍. Not Kevin Owens. I'm 𝙃𝙍𝙍. But thanks for hanging out. Then this past Saturday, got to go down to Tijuana. Completely unexpected. Got the hookup. Got the VIP status. Got to go backstage during the Crash Lucha Libre event before the show. Got to walk down the infamous hallway that I've seen so many superstars have taken their photos there. Like, even current superstars, guys like Danny Limelight and Bad Dude Tito and Che Cabrera and even as recently, Dr. Wagner Jr. and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner and La Parca, La Parquita and LA Park and Blue Demon Jr. and Hayabusa back in the day, Rey Mysterio. so many generational talents have come down that hallway. And even, good pal of the show, 𝙋𝙀𝙆𝙖, the Good Brothers. I mean, there's so many amazing wrestlers that have walked through that hallway, and just to be able to take a picture there, it was so cool, man. And then getting to meet Nick Nemeth and Matt Riddle, and seeing Jack Cartwheel again, get to hang out with Ninja Mac, get to say hi to Sonny Kiss and all those folks within that organization. Got to hang out with 𝙋𝙀𝙍𝙍𝙍, Nicho el Millionaire. Sorry, my Spanish isn't great, but Nicho, I got to talk to him for a minute or two. It was such a cool moment, and being a big fan of Lucha Libre, and having spent the last 5 or 6 years going down to Tijuana to see live wrestling at the auditorium, it was so cool to get to do that. And I know I'm kind of bragging here because it's not like that's open to the public, not like everyone can do it, which makes it even more unique and special. But it was so cool. And I said to Nick Nemeth, "Hey man, really enjoy you on Busted Open." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." He's like, "Hey man, that's all right." Fenrir and Slade are the future. Hell, they should be the present with Thrillbilly. I like that, Sean Mega. We're gonna go there. We're gonna get there. Mia, you should definitely try to get to, like, I think they have some events like in south of Brownsville. I know that there's lucha like on the other side of the border. Tyrus has a new name. He's known as the Virus. Okay. Thank you for that one, Willie. Noob says, seems like Natalia and Gisele are tagging tonight. We should come up with a good tag team name for them. Yeah, Noob, I think that's a great idea. What would be a good tag team name for Natalia Markova and Gisele Shaw? Is it the Russian Filipino connection? I don't know. We'll see. How long do you think Kevin Owens is out for? Probably till SummerSlam of next year. Bidneth. Kevin, what are your thoughts of AJ Styles being inducted into the Hall of Fame? Look, I love AJ Styles. He has meant a lot to the industry. He literally carried TNA during its lean years. He brought a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Bullet Club. He was able to do some pretty amazing things in the short 10 years with the WWE. You got to celebrate a guy who has that amount of accolades. I mean, of course, we could talk about his X Division runs, his NWA World Tag Team titles, his TNA Heavyweight titles, the NWA World titles, the WWE World titles, the US titles, the tag titles. There's so much that he did, right, for pro wrestling. But the fact that he was able to do it in 3 very distinct classes, very distinct organizations. And I mean, he was working in WCW in its dying days. So he had experience with WCW, had experience with TNA wrestling, became a superstar for TNA wrestling, literally put TNA in the X Division on his back and carried it, went to New Japan Pro Wrestling and dominated, came to not Southern California, came to the WWE during Royal Rumble and killed it. I mean, you have to put all the respect in the world out there for AJ Styles, and for him to say, hey, thank you, WWE, but now I'm going to go home and be a full-time dad. I think that's very remarkable. And, you could tell he's a family man. He's very proud of his family, his wife, and they've been waiting for him. They've been waiting for this moment. So I no sad feelings at all for AJ Styles. I mean, selfishly, like, we're all like, hey, we wish he was still around. We wish he was still wrestling. Well, I know he could still go. If he wanted to, he could still go, but I think he's doing the right thing by his family, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let's see. The quintessential crush. Okay. On an unrelated note, are you the Masked Man? No, I'm not. Thank you. Thank you for asking, but no. If the WWE wanted to pay me to go attack people, I mean, I'd listen. I'd listen to what offers they could make me, but no. Noob, Natty, and Gisele should be called Bootylicious. All right. Well, we'll work on that. Let's workshop that tag team name because, of course, they will be wrestling together tonight. And, as I was sitting here talking about Tuesday's championship wrestling taping, which I did have a lot of fun, got to see 5150 defend those tag titles against the Wolf Zaddies. I feel like, and then being able to go down to Tijuana to see the Crash, got to see a lot of good wrestling. But we completely ignored the fact that there was a television taping in Tampa, Florida for AEW. Excuse me, not AEW, the NWA. And I feel like that is very important because that's going to definitely play into the Crockett Cup. A lot of the teams were already announced for that taping, including Jack and Eddie, who we'll see this week on Power, Mims and Pope, who we'll also see on this week's Power. And I feel like the NWA is building to something. It's interesting how they've made the decision to seemingly pull back on their taping schedule. So they last filmed in December. They took the month of January off. They're filmed in February. Looks like they're taking the month of March off. April is when they're hosting the Crockett Cup in Forney, Texas. That will obviously be videotaped, and distribution for that will probably be like in probably April, May or June. And then, we still have to see what's next. Of course, the anniversary show tends to be in the late summer months, usually like August or September. They usually do Saw Win in October. It looks like they completely disregarded Hard Times this year. And that's not uncommon. The NWA has moved Hard Times to multiple places. Talk more about why you think Corgan should sell. Well, Sean, I mean... That's a good question. What? Okay. Do I think William Patrick Corgan should sell the NWA? Yes. I think William Patrick Corgan should sell the NWA because I don't feel at this point there is much more that William Patrick Corgan can do to help grow the NWA brand. And keep in mind, Billy Corgan's a rock star. Billy Corgan has various interests, not just in music, but he also owns a tea house, a coffee house in Chicago. He also has a podcast that he does regularly. And I also feel like, with pro wrestling taking a lot of time, a lot of money, what can he do more than what he's already doing? What could Billy Corgan do to help grow the NWA? Yes, he has a name, but how many doors has that name opened up for the NWA? King Shaw Mega says West Side Gun and Violent J doing well with their promotions. Is West Side Gun, is that 4H? Or is it not 4H? That's not it. It's Fourth Rope. Sean, is West Side Gun Fourth Rope? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and he said something. I guess it was West Side Gun said something about buying TNA, right? And I don't think that TNA is available, but you look at what Fourth Rope has become, and it's not just a regular indie anymore. In a short amount of time, they've become kind of a vessel for pro wrestling that is kind of taken the business by storm. And I'm not saying that they're ready to be the next TNA, but having a guy show up and promote wrestling without any prior experience. Yeah, Scoo, I'll get to that in a second. Without having prior experience, I mean, I think that's really impressive. And my phone keeps ringing, so I'll tell him again, please text me. So yeah, when it comes to William Patrick Corgan, I don't know what more he could do to help grow the NWA. I feel like he's exercised as much value as his name has given him in growing this brand. At some point, I feel like you need to do something different. And when I look at a wrestling promotion like Coastal Championship Wrestling, CCW, that operates out of Florida but really tours around, like that to me is more of a blueprint of what the NWA should be than what the NWA is currently. The model, the business model that Billy Corgan and the NWA are currently using, I feel like limits a lot. They're a television company. Let me say that differently. They are a wrestling company with emphasis on their live events, television, right? But they're not on a big premier platform. So they're putting their emphasis on the wrong thing. What would drive their business is, one, ticket sales, that live event, especially now that WWE is touring less, AEW isn't touring as much. The NWA should be out there on the road. They should be doing 2 or 3 shows a week, not a month, a week. Right now they're doing 1 show, 2 shows a month. To me, that's backwards. Billy Corgan is somebody who knows about the concerts and touring and going on the road. And that's like, if you look where the, Smashing Pumpkins make their money, it's not publishing rights and records anymore because everything's streaming now. Where you make your money is being on the road and touring. And I feel like wrestling is not much different. You got to get out there. You got to put your promotion out there. As a wrestling company that isn't on TV, it's on Roku. They put their greatest emphasis on the Roku production, that television show that's not even on TV. That seems illogical to me. That doesn't make sense to me. When you think about pro wrestling, live events, merchandise, they have great merchandise. Danny Dills does a good job with collecting the merchandise. The production for the TV show is great. But again, why are we putting such an emphasis on something that doesn't matter? Look, we can't even get a live wrestling show on Roku for them. And conversely, you've got Championship Wrestling, Dave Marquez, United Wrestling Network. He has what's going on in Memphis. Now that Memphis is Memphis, but Gotham Wrestling is Dave Marquez. Championship Wrestling is Dave Marquez. And these shows are not just on YouTube, but they're also syndicated in different markets through Gray Bar Media or Gray Sports Media or something like that. They are on television, on traditional broadcasting, but then they're going to be doing this new program. They're going to have a live event at Thunder Studios on March 8th, Sunday Night Slam. They're going to be focusing on having that show available to watch everywhere. It's going to be on Roku under the Adrenaline Plus. It's going to be on YouTube, Adrenaline Plus. It's going to be on Triller, and there's no charge to watch it. And if Dave Marquez and Adrenaline Plus could do this for the United Wrestling Network and Sunday Night Slam, what's preventing Billy Corgan from doing this? Why are they filming stuff and it takes 3 months for it to get on TV? Again, at some point, Billy has got to say either I'm not doing good enough or somebody can do better. And like Sean, you're saying JCW tours like crazy and can be watched worldwide. Yep. You can't even watch the NWA outside of the United States or outside of North America. Unrelated thoughts on the whole Finn Balor World Heavyweight Championship thing. I think it's a red herring. He's not going to win the title. You don't mess with the CM Punk Roman Reigns match. You don't need to add Finn Balor to that. Not everyone gets a participation trophy. It sucks. I wish Finn were in a better situation with the company, and who knows, maybe post WrestleMania he'll get another shot at the title. But I feel like this is just it's a stopgap until we get to WrestleMania. Willie says, or wait, we'll get to that. Well, no, we'll get to that now. Willie says, I wish that Dave Marquez would buy the NWA Pro Wrestling. Look, I think Dave Marquez would treat the NWA the way that it deserves to be treated. And I feel like even at this point, if there were a way for Billy and Dave to work together again, I think that would be for the best interest of the NWA. But I don't foresee it happening again because Billy doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. How can you tell somebody they're doing something wrong when they think they're right? It's just like when you talk to a little kid. Talk to a little kid and you're like, do you know what you did wrong? They're like, no. How could you not tell? But that's just what it is. Dave Scooby, Jack and Eddie need a new team name, or just make sure you say it slowly. Yeah, it's very hard to say that name without sounding like a creep. Jack and Eddie. I think I'll just say and. Jack and Eddie. It's the same thing. People want to call me Jay Owens. Like, no, I don't want to be J.O. No, sir. Now, when it does come to the NWA, there are some positive things going on. Like, I can't say that it's all doom and gloom, right? Again, I feel like the taping schedule is going to help in a sense because they'll have less in the can, which means more stuff will make it to TV faster. I think that's a benefit, and we'll have to wait and see how soon that happens. But, they did announce the Crockett Cup will be coming on April 4th. Yeah, April 4th, Forney, Texas. That will be the Crockett Cup. And I mean, they do more than just the Crockett Cup when they do these events. There's the world title will be defended. The tag titles will be defended. Excuse me. Maybe not the tag titles. The world title will be defended. We'll probably see the junior heavyweight title or the TV title defended. More than likely the national title. And here it goes. The press release from the NWA website, Saturday, April 4th, the National Wrestling Alliance returns to the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's about an hour outside of Dallas, by the way, to present the Crockett Cup, an NWA live power taping event. Bring the entire family to the OC Theater in Forney, Texas to experience the 40th anniversary of the most prestigious tag team tournament in professional wrestling, live and in person. I think it's supposed to be live and in person, but whatever. Join the stars of the NWA along with the president, the Smashing Pumpkins' own frontman, William Patrick Corgan, with you as part of our television taping audience. Tickets right now as low as $19.95. Scheduled to appear, the Southern Six trio of the world's heavyweight champion, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, Kerry Morton, and Alex Taylor. The women's world champion, the Crushed, Natalia Markova. The world tag team champions, the Immortals, Tom Latimer. The Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows, who we just saw on Monday Night Raw last night. The good, pretty empowered Kenzie Page and Kylie Page. The NWA TV champion, Brian Idol, if by then he hasn't cashed in for a World Heavyweight Championship match. Aaron Stevens, Federation of Champions, Carson Bartholomew Drake and his cousin Lockjaw Drake, as well as the NWA National Heavyweight Champion, Mike Mondo, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Slade, and the NWA US Tag Team Champions, the SlimeBallz. TVMA, the NWA Women's TV Champion Tiffany Nieves with Miss Star and the towering Gretta. Why do we have to call her towering? Knox and Murdoch, the NWA Texas Champion Izzy James, who's just came back from Pro Wrestling Noah. NWA Texas TSW Champion Bam Bam Malone. The Holy Grail Pastor CeeLo and Pretty Boy Smooth. The Colognes, Primo and Epico. The Big Strong Mims and Pope. Joe Kazana and the Country Gentleman, and more to be announced. Again, that's coming up on April 4th. Before April 4th, they do have live events scheduled. Oh. They're doing another taping in Tampa on April 25th. Yeesh. I was just saying how happy I am that they're slowing down with this stuff, but now it looks like they're going to be doing another set of tapings on April the 25th. Scheduled to appear, Thrillbilly Silas Mason and the Southern Six, the Women's World Champion, the TV Champion, the Holy Grail, the Good Brothers, Gretta, the U.S. Tag Team Champions, the SlimeBallz, the Page Sisters, Kenzie Kylie, Carson Drake, Knox and Murdoch, the Women's TV Champion, the Immortals. That's interesting. Of course, this Saturday, February 28th, the Salute to Service for WLW out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The world's heavyweight champion will be defending his title at the Salute to Soldiers. Salute to Service, excuse me. They have the Devils of War, who are the World League Tag Team Champions, taking on the Thoroughbreds. The World League Ladies Champion, Cameron Brenay versus Shailin. Carson Drake taking on Austin Austin M. We were not going to try to say that last name. World's heavyweight champion Silas Mason and Moses the Deliverer versus Chris Danger and the World League Wrestling heavyweight champion Camaro Jackson, Attila Khan, and Tobias Storm. That's happening on this Saturday, the 28th, and then also in St. Petersburg, you've got Brian Idol, Markova, Daisy Kill, Damian Fenrir, Alex Misery, Gretta for body slams in the Berg. That's NWA Fight the World. I guess apparently they are considered part of the territory system now. March 6th, the Thrillbilly will be in Chicago, defending his title out there. And yeah, Kenzie's birthday bash also on Friday, March 6th in Searville. And yeah, the Rhea County Rumble will take place back on March 7th. That was a JCP event that got postponed because of inclement weather a few weeks ago. Double D, you like that? See, it's been here this whole time. You never saw it before? It's a Lego one. It's Lego. Noob says, do you like seeing Natalia and Gisele as a tag team? The looks that kill, aka Natty. Let me start over. Do you like seeing Natalia and Gisele as a tag team? The looks that kill, aka Natalia Markova and Brian Idol. I'd rather see Natalia and Gisele as a tag team because I don't like intergender wrestling that frequently. In the right places and right times it works, but like there is no intergender division for the NWA. So when you put a match with Idol and Markova, I just feel like you're spinning your wheels. There's no prize for them to fight for. And you know, there isn't like there's a bunch of couples in the NWA currently either. So like there's Kenzie and Hunter, Idol and Markova. That's about it. There was a question in the chat. Did Billy Corgan have to change the NWA model when he bought it from Bruce Tharp, or could he have left it the way Bruce Tharp had it? Patrick, at any point, this is Billy's own baby. Billy owns the NWA. He owns the IP. He owns everything about the National Wrestling Alliance. So he could have done anything he wanted to. Initially, they didn't want territory systems. That was a byproduct, I think, of, you know, after COVID and trying to figure out what they were going to do. They lost a lot of momentum, and I feel like they thought the way to get that back was the territory system. But that was never their long-term plans. That's why they ditched it. That's why they jettisoned it. You know, the territory system worked for the pro wrestling organization. That was like the era before Bruce Tharp. That was Dave Marquez, and that was Howard Brody and Jim Miller and Dave Republic and those guys, right? Like they had this idea of like you have a bunch of territory. I mean, that was kind of what the NWA always was. Remember, the NWA used to be a sanctioning body, and all the promotions that were part of the NWA were just a territory of the NWA. So like your members, your associates were all a part of the National Wrestling Alliance. Even going back to when, you know, WCW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, they all left in 93, EMLL left in 92, ECW left in 94, I think. And everything kind of evolved through then. But it was always a collection of territories. Bruce was the person that decided to make the NWA a single wrestling promotion that had licensees, and those licensees were a paid membership to be a part of the NWA that gave them access to the NWA IP for a year. And then when that year expired, you know, they had to renegotiate their terms every year. Billy could have kept it like that, but there was a lot of people involved with the NWA that Billy had no desire to work with, and that's kind of where it went. The cameras churn slightly, but not much different than normal. It's about the same. Would maybe be a sellout if Billy got the Von Erichs, but unfortunately they're signed with AEW. Maybe you get Kevin to show up for a signing or an appearance. Like, I think that if you could get the Von Erichs in Forney, Texas, I feel like that would help with ticket sales. I feel like if you can get Cody and Dustin's nephews on the card. I feel like that would help. But I don't think you need them to sell out. Like they didn't have hardly anything announced for the show in 2024 in Forney, Texas, and they still did pretty well ticket sales wise. I don't think that would be hard. And the thing about it is, you know, I was there for the Crockett Cup in 2024, and I talked to a few people who were like, yeah, I just saw that there was wrestling nearby, and I decided to come. It wasn't even like they were familiar with the product, and I don't feel like the NWA even needs that. You know, like you show them a poster and you put these guys on a poster, and people are going to be like, yeah, let's go. Gallows and Anderson, yeah, let's go. Oh, Trevor Murdoch, I remember him. Let's go. Oh, these guys, the wrestling machines, they look like the Steiner brothers. Let's go. I don't think you need to have some over elaborate draw for this card, especially in Forney. I don't think they need that. I could be wrong. How bad was Bruce Tharp? I don't know. I can't tell you how bad he was. I know that a lot of things that he said he wanted to make happen didn't happen. There was never a line of books from the NWA, which he promoted and promised. They did start a working relationship with New Japan that at the time saw, not only did Jushin Thunder Liger become an NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, but he also appeared in events for the NWA in the States. Hiroshi Tenzin and Satoshi Kojima challenged for the titles, won the titles, and defended them in the United States. Rob Conway defended the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship on some of the biggest events in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So for that, I can't say that he was horrible. I don't think he treated people the way that they deserve to be treated. I think he took advantage of some of the territories. I think he kind of manipulated money. I think he made himself a bigger priority than he should have. But I feel like he was a very good asset to the NWA because he got them to places they hadn't been in years. Having New Japan being even interested in having some NWA talent on their cards. Again, Jack Stane, Big Daddy Yum Yum, which is a funny name to say these days. There was a lot of guys who would not have had the opportunity to wrestle in New Japan Pro Wrestling had it not been for the NWA. Chase Owens legitimately made a career out of being a part of the Bullet Club, and he didn't get that opportunity until he showed up via the NWA as World Junior Heavyweight Champion. AJ Styles was one of the best NWA champions. I feel like AJ Styles could possibly go down as one of the greatest NWA World Champions of this era. He did what I want any NWA World Champion to do, and that's to defend the title everywhere. And he took the title to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. He took the title to CZW. He took the title when he went to Europe and Germany, and I guess Europe is in Germany. But you get what I'm saying. Him and Jeff Jarrett wrestled for the title in South Korea, and I don't know that the NWA World title has been to South Korea since. And all that while still competing for TNA wrestling on the regular. And, like the great world champions do that. Steve Corino took the title to Japan, took the title to the UK. Adam Pearce took the title all over the world. Nick Aldis took the title all over the world. Colt Boom Boom Cabana took that title all over the world. And for the wrestlers who can get the title out there, I feel like that is super meaningful and super important. Yeah, Kojima actually appeared for All Japan Pro Wrestling many years ago. He at one point held simultaneously the Triple Crown and the New Japan IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and that was pretty impressive. He's also held the MLW World Title and the NWA World Title. You're thinking of a different Chase. Chase Owens was not a part of the Naturals. Chase Owens was a World Junior Heavyweight Champion. You're thinking of a different Chase, Willie. In fact, I'll tell you, it was Chase Stevens. Thank you, Sean. I was gonna get there. You got it for me first. It was Chase Stevens, Willie, who was a part of the tag team, the Naturals. Would have liked to see those guys make a comeback at some point. But and Chase Owens is still wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's still one of the foreigners that goes out there to wrestle for them. So, props to him. And let's see here. So as we look at this week's Power, which I feel like it is going to be a pretty solid card here, we have last week we had TVMA who attacked the women's champion Markova and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling star Gisele Shaw. The attack on the two, I feel like was calculated, obviously led to a matchup this week. Gretta, putting Markova through the table was very much a statement saying, hey, we're here. You can't sleep on TVMA. And of course, this sets up a tag team match between Markova and Gisele Shaw taking on La Princesa and the towering Gretta. But I think more so kind of leverages the TV champion into the line of sight for the Markova. They've wrestled before in the past. Markova and Tiffany Nieves have had matches in the past, but never for the Women's World Championship. So, I feel like this is a great storytelling match. We probably won't see Gisele Shaw back in the NWA for a minute or two, but this absolutely creates an opportunity for them to further that storyline along and kind of putting a greater emphasis for maybe the Crockett Cup with Tiffany Nieves and Markova. That showdown might be happening at the Crockett Cup. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, it's Soto. The NWA does have a Hall of Fame, but not like an official Hall of Fame like they used to have a Hall of Fame. And it's funny because I actually used to help run the Hall of Fame back in the day. But that's no longer here nor there. Did you talk about the crash? Yeah, we did talk about the crash for a few minutes. How cool of an experience that was. How you got to take photos with Matt Riddle and Nick Nemeth, and how we got to say what's up to Damien, say, and got to hang out with Sonny Kiss and Ninja Mac and Ninja Mac, and got to say what's up to Jack Hartwell. That was all a good time, fun stuff. Did have a good time at that event. But getting back more to the NWA, because again, it's Power, and so in this week we also see Jack and Eddie will be challenging the NWA US Tag Team Champions, the SlimeBallz. Now, the SlimeBallz, it's interesting. The US tag titles were not something that were heavily featured on NWA programming just a couple of weeks ago. When the Southern Six were champions, we never saw those belts defended on Power. But when the SlimeBallz win them, all of a sudden they become a very important part of programming. And this is like the third week that we've seen these titles defended in the last 2 months. And they're taking on Jack and Eddie. And for those of you who don't follow Jack and Eddie, again, they are part of this year's Crockett Cup. But they are standouts from the Chicago area, and were actually part of the they were the team that challenged the Hardway for the vacant Chicago tag team titles. Unfortunately, they lost that match, but they're still looking to make their name in the NWA. And as part of this year's Crockett Cup, expecting big things for them. But before they do that, they have to get through the SlimeBallz and maybe the U.S. tag titles. Did you talk about us eating tacos with Ninja Mac and Jack Cartwheel afterwards? I did. And I was talking about how delicious the tacos are, because in Tijuana, in Mexico, you know what they put on tacos? Guacamole. So for you people who don't like avogatos, no tengo avogatos, lo siento. Guacamole is delicious. Let's see. I believe it's going to be an exciting feud between Markova and Tiffany. We might see the quintessential crush. Yeah, I mean, probably. Willie's not a big fan of the SlimeBallz. However, Double D is. Excuse me. Sorry. I think I frog got my throat or something. Anyway, moving quite a bit on. Also in action, we're going to see not a return match, but a bit of the continuation of the storyline that was going on between Kenzie Page and Teal Piper. Now, from these tapings happened back in December. There was supposedly a bit of a fallout with Teal Piper, so this might be the last match we see from Teal Piper in the NWA. But apparently, Teal and Kenzie Page will be, throwing hands, as the kids would say. And it's interesting that we have the daughter of Hot Rod in a match taking on the former Triple Crown of the NWA, Kenzie Page. I felt like this match could have meant something, but who knows what the plan is for this. And of course, if this is genuinely Teal Page's last match within the NWA, kind of a bummer, because again, she did. It seemed like there's a lot of interest in having her a part of the NWA, but nevertheless, let's keep going. We also have a very weird pairing of, 𝙋𝙊𝙒𝙍𝙍𝙍 𝙋𝙊𝙒 teamed up with JAC last week, and they took on the team of who did they face last week? Now I'm drawing a complete blank. Oh, I think not the Country Gentlemen. Who did they face? Oh man, who did 𝙋𝙊𝙒𝙍𝙍? Oh, the Wrestling Machines. They wrestled Mondo and Spencer Slade. This week, 𝙋𝙊𝙒𝙍𝙍 is looking for a new tag team partner, and somehow they landed on El Dragon Nihan. And what I don't understand about El Dragon Nihan is he's been presented as a heel since his first interaction with the NWA. He's been treated as a heel. He wrestled against Tom Latimer when Tom was world champion. That was a very heel moment for him. And then when he wrestled against Mims, the first time he beat Mims, he was treated mostly as a heel, kind of made Mims almost like a baby face. The pairing seems to be what it is, because 𝙋𝙊𝙒𝙍𝙍 and Pope will be taking on 𝙋𝙊𝙒𝙍 and El Dragon Nihan will be taking on the Pope and Mims. Now, this is the Pope and Mims' first match back as a tag team. They did compete in the 2023 Crockett Cup in Nashville, Tennessee. So this will be their second time them teaming together in a long time. And of course, El Dragon Nihan was kind of caught in the middle of all of this, because it was during his match against Mims where the Pope came out, and everyone expected the Pope to attack Mims, but instead he attacked Nihan with that knockout punch, giving Mims, big strong Mims, the victory there. And that just it was a very interesting way to go about it. It actually didn't make a lot of sense, to be quite honest. But now we have this team of the Pope and Mims. A lot of people were excited to see them reunite, but the circumstances behind it are just a little confusing. But they'll be competing tonight as well. Willie says, I'll eat a wet steak burritos. I mean, the traditional wet steak burrito, I think, is a little bit different once you cross the border. They don't have burritos the same way we have them here, I don't think. At least I didn't see them. Like, you get enchiladas. And then Soto said, did you talk about Championship Wrestling from last Tuesday? I did. Talked about how I got to take you in and introduce you to some of my people. You got to meet Dave Marquez, and you got to meet you didn't really get to meet too many wrestlers because they were all busy talking, but you got to see Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie in action against the Wolf Zaddies, Bad Dude Tito, and Che Cabrera. Honestly, it's a shame that they aren't in the Crockett Cup. It's like, what are you doing, NWA? Those two guys should be a part of the Crockett Cup. I understand they're not regulars for the NWA roster, but if you were just to try to make this the best tag team tournament, both of those teams should be a part of it. 100%. You also got to see, while you were there, you got to see Jake Redondo. You got to see them setting up a match down the road for Matthias and the Heritage Champion Maximilian. A lot of good stuff. Thanks for the likes, everybody. But yeah, we did talk about it. What did you think about it, Soto? Why does it keep popping up? What did you think about it, Soto? Did you like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? Would you go back? Are you interested in watching it on YouTube now? And more so, who do you guys think is going to be, moving away from Championship Wrestling? Who do you guys think are going to win the Crockett Cup this year? I'm kind of curious as to what the chat is leaning towards. Like, who do you think? Like, Double D, do you think the SlimeBallz are going to win the Crockett Cup? Willie, who do you think is going to win the Crockett Cup? What about you, noob? Who do you think is going to win the Crockett Cup? Dave Scooby, I want to know who's going to win the Crockett Cup. Am I talking to myself? Probably. The Country Gentleman. That's a good choice. It's a good choice, Willie. That would be very unexpected. If the Country Gentleman were to win the Crockett Cup, I mean, it sets up so many different storylines. Of course, that means that they'd get an opportunity to challenge the Immortals for the NWA World Tag Team titles. I think that would be a huge, huge get for, AJ and 𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍𝙍𝙍. Of course, Papa Joe would be very excited about that as well. And we haven't really seen the Country Gentlemen get an opportunity to wrestle for those World Tag titles. We haven't seen them get a lot of opportunities to wrestle for any of the titles. Honestly, the U.S. tag titles with the SlimeBallz a couple weeks back, but and it was by the book. But I'm waiting. Anyone else want to make some offhanded predictions? Oh, okay. Noob says the Good Brothers. I'm kind of leaning to the Good Brothers, right? We saw them appear at the 77th anniversary show. They were at the TV tapings that happened in February, just last weekend. We know that they're going to be in Forney, Texas on April 4th. They're reportedly going to be at the TV tapings on April the 25th. And although they're not officially signed wrestlers for the NWA, that's a lot of NWA wrestling considering. And I think having them win those tag titles, win the Crockett Cup, it adds legitimacy to the Cup because you're taking a tag team that have won the IWGP tag titles like 4 times. You're taking a tag team that have won the WWE tag titles twice, TNA tag titles. I mean, again, we talked about how great AJ Styles is, but let's not fool ourselves. The Good Brothers have been doing the same thing for tag team wrestling for quite some time. Absolutely, I would like to see the Good Brothers have a good run in the Crockett Cup. And if they win, I mean, I feel like it just adds more legitimacy to the tournament. Anyone else agree? Good Brothers would get some coverage if they won, but the time delay would kill any momentum. That's true. I agree with you, Scooby. I was really optimistic because the fact that the taping schedule had been like a month on, month off, month on, month off, it just felt like maybe they were going to start narrowing down the time from production to making it available to the fans to watch. But it seems like that might not even be the case now that they're doing more TV in April. And maybe it's just the scheduling. Maybe it's just easier to do TV in April as opposed to like June and July. But then that just means when they're filming stuff in April after the Crockett Cup, that they're probably going to be setting up matches that'll happen in the late summer months for the anniversary show. Or maybe they're just going to do more TV tapings and to hell with TV, And again, like we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I don't know if I'm beating a dead horse here, but if the NWA is going to consider itself a TV program, a wrestling TV show, then the emphasis should be on the TV. And who cares about anything else? But it just seems counterintuitive. Like I don't feel like being on Roku is the same as being on, Universal or Paramount Plus or any of the major networks that are available to them. Being on Fox, I think, would be a better avenue for them than being on Roku. Again, there's a supply and demand for everything. You have to have a supply to be demanded. You have to be demanded to be somebody's supply. So putting the NWA on a program, on a channel like, Fox, maybe Fox doesn't want to be in the wrestling business. So you can't like force them to do it. I I am Blake says the NWA title is the most beautiful title ever. I don't know if you can see it, Blake, but I do have my replica of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship right here. Let me see. Yeah, you can't see it. It's right here. And it is one of my favorite title belts. There's something, what I love about it is the history that's connected to it. You know, it's got such a great legacy behind it. And again, obviously this isn't the belt that 𝙃𝙍𝙍 held. It's not the belt that, you know, Orville Brown was declared the first NWA World Champion, but it is the belt that Terry Funk held. It is the belt that Harley Race held, that Jack Briscoe held. It's the belt that Kerry Von Erich won. It's the belt that the Nature Boy Ric Flair won. And in modern days, it's the belt that AJ Styles and Sting and Raven and Steve Corino and Shinya Hashimoto and Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis and Colt Cabana and Blue Demon Jr. and all those guys, they all held that belt. So I don't know. For me, it has a lot of prestige, and it will always have that prestige for me. It is one of the better looking title belts, for sure. Well, as we get closer to the hour here, I think we're going to wrap it up for this week. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Dodie says, did you already get a tire signature? No, Dodie, unfortunately, that was... There's been an opportunity to get two names that I refuse is a strong word. There's been an opportunity to get two names on that title belt that I chose not to get. And one of them was the Sheik, and the other has been Tyrus. I think I have Tom Latimer's name on here. I know I got EC3 to sign it. I don't have Thrillbilly's signature yet. Maybe when I go to Forney, maybe I can get those signatures. But, yeah, I do have AJ Styles on it. AJ Styles was the second signature that I got on the belt. The first one was Colt Cabana. The second one was AJ Styles. Can you see it? Am I putting it up right? Yeah, there we go. I got, there's EC3. Such a terrible signature. Like, that could be anybody's handwriting, their EC3. I got Kojima right there by Japan. I like the fact that EC3 signed it by Japan because he took the belt to All Japan Pro Wrestling. I got Shane Douglas, Tim Storm, Adam Pearce, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair. Anyways, I got a lot of signatures on there. I never got Terry Funk's. I did get Harley Race's, but I never got Terry Funk's. I wanted to get Terry Funk's, but unfortunately he passed away. Barry Windham would be another great one to get. Steve Corino would be another great one to get. Did you guys see Steve Corino started wrestling again? I don't know if he left the WWE to do this, but he just recently had a wrestling match where he won, I think, the PWF Championship. I think the PWF title, the PWF promotion, is a promotion that's associated with Colby. But I was kind of blown away by that. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for us this week. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the chat. Programming note, on Thursday, we're going to have Brutal Bob Evans on the podcast, on the Alliance Blog podcast, and that's available on all your podcast streaming platforms, including Apple, iTunes, or Amazon, or iHeartRadio, all of those good spots. And of course, that'll be available on our YouTube channel. I agree, Dodie. EC3 taking the title back to Japan will always be something special. Yeah, I agree with both of those. The last person to defend the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in Japan, in All Japan Pro Wrestling before EC3, was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat back in 1989. So to me, yeah, that was a pretty special deal that EC3 was able to do that. But and we'll be back on Thursday for the Alliance Guys podcast. So make sure you are tuned in. You can watch us on Twitch, on TikTok, and on YouTube. But that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate you. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support.
Right,
Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.